What would you do if your safe haven became a battlefield? Eleanor Hartwell adjusts her reading glasses, slides another returned book across the scanner, hears the familiar beep echo through Millbrook Public Library. 23 years. Same desk. Same. Gentle smile for every patron. Same quiet pride in her sanctuary of stories. The afternoon sun streams through tall windows, catches dust motes dancing above biography, shelves illuminates her small world of order, whispered conversations, rustling. Pages, she smooths her cardigan navy blue with tiny pearl buttons. Notices a loose thread, makes a mental note to fix it tonight. Her fingers trace the edge of something special, tucked beneath a stack of poetry collections. A faded leather journal worn, smooth by decades of handling, initials barely visible on the cover. E. H. Not Eleanor Hartwell, different E.H. different story, hidden story. The front door's brass handle rattles violent shake against its frame. Eleanor looks up from her cataloguing, sees shadows moving beyond frosted glass. 3 figures, leather jackets, catching streetlight boots heavy against concrete steps, voices carrying through the walls, rough laughter, crude jokes, the sound of people who take what they want. Eleanor's pulse quickens, but she doesn't move, doesn't call security, just watches. The Duggar swings open brass hinges, protesting with a long creak. Marcus Tank. Rodriguez steps inside. First 6'4" frame filling the doorway, leather vest decorated with patches, skulls and flames and angry slogans, steel serpents, motorcycle club. Est, 1987 behind him, Jenny Viper Walsh, all sharp angles and sharper attitude. Cigarette tucked behind her ear, combat boots laced to her knees. Third through the door, Danny Clutch Morrison, youngest of the group, trying too hard to prove himself swagger. That doesn't quite fit eyes that dart nervously around the room. Tank surveys, the library takes in the silence, the careful organization, the elderly woman behind the desk watching him with steady grey eyes. You see the truth in moments like these, when chaos meets order, when loud meets quiet, when taking meets giving. Eleanor has spent her life building bridges between worlds, helping struggling students find their voice, connecting lonely seniors with stories, teaching children that books hold. Magic, she believes in the power of words, the democracy of knowledge, the sacred space of learning. Tank believes in different things. Respect earned through fear, territory marked with noise, weakness punished swiftly. He approaches her desk boots, clicking against polished floors, each step deliberate, measured, meant to intimidate. Eleanor doesn't flinch, doesn't look away, just waits. Tank stops 3 feet from her desk, leans forward slightly, voice carrying, despite the whisper. Need some information, lady. About a certain resident lives on Maple Street. Owes some people money. Eleanor's fingers find the leather journal hidden beneath her poetry books, feels its weight, its history, its secrets. She looks up at Tank, meets his stare directly, voice steady. As still water, I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that. This is a library, not an information bureau. Tank's expression shifts, surprise flickering across his features. Most people cave immediately, stammer apologies, rush to comply. But Eleanor sits calmly, hands folded, backbone straight, dignity intact. The silence stretches tension, filling the space between them. Jenny shifts behind Tank. Danny clears his throat nervously. Outside, traffic flows past normal life, continuing unaware of the standoff brewing. Inside these walls, Tank studies. Eleanor's face searches for cracks in her composure, finds none. He straightens, slowly, voice dropping to something dangerous. This ain't over, lady. We'll be back, and next time you might want to be more helpful. Eleanor doesn't respond, doesn't need to, just watches as the 3 leather-clad figures turn and walk toward the exit. Tank pauses at the door, looks back over his shoulder, fixes Eleanor with a stare meant to follow her home, haunt her dreams. The door closes. Behind them, brass handles settling into place, silence returning to the library. But everything has changed. Eleanor's hands tremble slightly as she reaches for the leather journal. pulls it from its hiding place, opens to a page she knows by heart. Photograph slips out black and white, decades old. Shows a young woman, maybe 25, standing beside a massive motorcycle leather jacket, open over a white t-shirt, confident smile, eyes that fear nothing. The woman looks exactly like Eleanor 40, years younger. Different clothes, different life, same unshakable core. Eleanor studies the photograph, remembers the weight of that jacket, the roar of that engine, the respect earned through skill, not intimidation. She slides the photo back, closes the journal, returns it to its hiding place. Outside, motorcycle engines roar to life, steel serpents announcing their departure with unnecessary noise. Eleanor removes her reading glasses, cleans them carefully, puts them back on, returns to her cataloguing, but her sanctuary has been invaded, her peaceful world now has a crack running through it, and she knows with certainty, born of experience, that Tank Rodriguez will keep his promise. He'll be back. 3 days pass. Eleanor tries to forget, focuses on her routines. Story time for preschoolers, helping teenagers with college applications, organizing the new fiction display. But Tank Rodriguez doesn't forget. Tuesday afternoon library, almost empty. Just misses. Chen browsing cookbooks and old Mr. Peterson reading newspapers in his corner chair. The brass handle rattles again, more violent this time. Deliberate intimidation. Tank enters alone. Swagger. Amplified. Leather vest. Creaking. Steel serpent's patch. Prominent. On his broad back, he walks straight to Eleanor's desk, doesn't pretend this is coincidence, doesn't bother with pleasantries. Changed your mind yet, librarian? Still protecting people who don't deserve it? Eleanor looks up from her computer, voice steady, despite the tremor in her chest. I told you before I can't help you with that kind of request. Tank laughs sound harsh. Against the library's gentle acoustics, can't. Or won't. He leans across her desk, invading her space breath, smelling of cigarettes and something stronger. See, I've been asking around about you. Eleanor Hartwell. Quiet little librarian, lives alone, drives that beat-up Honda Parks in the same spot every single day. Eleanor's pulse quickens, but she doesn't show. It doesn't give him the satisfaction of fear. What's your point? Tank straightens, begins walking slowly around the reference section, fingers trailing along book spines. Casual destruction waiting to happen. My point is, you got a nice little life here. Safe job, quiet routine. Be a shame if something disrupted all that peace. He stops at the poetry section, right where Eleanor keeps her hidden journal, seems to sense something important lives here. You know what I think? I think you're hiding something. People who got nothing to hide, they cooperate. They help. They're neighbors. Eleanor watches him. Every movement, every gesture recognizes the predator's dance from another lifetime. I'm not hiding anything. I just respect people's privacy. That's what libraries do. Tank picks up a book of sonnets, flips through. Pages roughly seems disappointed by the lack of pictures. Privacy, right? That's a luxury. Lady one, you might not be able to afford much longer. He drops the book, lets it fall open, pages splayed awkwardly. Mrs. Chen looks up nervously from her cookbook browsing, catches Eleanor's eye, question written on her face. Eleanor gives the slightest shake of her head. Don't interfere, don't make this worse. Tank notices the exchange, smiles with genuine pleasure. See that? You're already training people to be afraid. Smart woman. He walks back to Eleanor's desk, plants. Both hands flat, leans down until they're almost nose to nose. Last chance. Librarian. Give me what I want or things get complicated for everyone who comes here. Eleanor meets his stare. Doesn't blink. Doesn't back down, voice quiet but unshakable. No. Tank's eyes widen slightly. Not used to direct defiance, especially from someone who looks like everybody's favorite grandmother. He straightens, slowly, nods as if confirming something he already knew. All right then. We do this the hard way. He turns toward the exit, pauses at the poetry section, runs his finger along the shelf where Eleanor's journal hides. Nice collection you got here. Be terrible if someone knocked it all down. Scattered books everywhere, made a real mess. Eleanor's hands clench beneath her desk, but her voice stays level. The library closes at 8. You should probably leave before security arrives. Tank laughs again, genuine amusement this time. Security? You mean that old rent-a-cop who makes rounds once every 2 hours? Harold. Right, sweet guy. Probably wouldn't want any trouble. Eleanor realizes he's been watching learning schedules, mapping vulnerabilities, planning something bigger. Tank walks to the door, stops with his hand on the brass handle. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Libraries. Open late. Might be a good night for some after-hours community service. He leaves, door closing with deliberate gentleness, more threatening than any slam. Eleanor sits motionless, listening to her heartbeat, watching Mrs. Chen pretend to read recipes. While stealing worried glances, Mr. Peterson rustles his newspaper, but she can feel his attention focused on her desk, on her breathing, on her next move. She reaches beneath her poetry books, fingers finding leather, worn smooth by time and secret handling. Journal feels heavier today, weighted with possibility, with choices she thought she'd never have to make. Eleanor opens to the photograph, studies that young woman's face, the confidence, the fearlessness, the absolute certainty that respect comes from. Strength, not submission. She remembers the feeling of that leather jacket, the roar of engines the Brotherhood earned, through skill and courage. Different world, different rules, different Eleanor. But Tank Rodriguez doesn't know about different Eleanor. He sees cardigan sweaters, reading glasses, quiet voice, assumed weakness. He doesn't see the steel beneath the silk. Eleanor closes the journal, returns it to its hiding place, looks around her sanctuary, Mrs. Chen, Mr. Peterson. The teenage volunteers, Abdil, children who come for story time, all of them depending on her to keep this place safe, to stand between chaos and order. She removes her reading glasses, cleans them slowly, deliberately puts them back on. Tank. Rodriguez wants a war. Maybe it's time he got one, but first she needs to make a phone call to someone who remembers the woman she used to be before she became everyone's favorite librarian, before she learned to fight battles with quiet dignity instead of loud engines. Her fingers find her. Cell phones scroll through contacts, stop at a name she hasn't called in 15 years. Time to wake up some old ghosts. Time to remind Tank Rodriguez that you can't judge a book by its cover, especially when that book has a few chapters nobody's read. Yet Wednesday morning, Eleanor arrives early, unlocks the library doors with hands that don't shake anymore. The phone call made last night changed something in her voice, in her spine, in the way she carries herself. But Tank Rodriguez doesn't know about. Phone calls are old friends or promises made in parking lots under starlight. He arrives at noon, brings Jenny and Danny, plus 2 new faces. More leather, more patches, more intimidation. 5 against 1 librarian with reading glasses should be easy. Eleanor watches them enter, notes how they spread out flanking maneuvers, practiced intimidation, military precision applied to civilian targets. Tank approaches her desk while the others browse aggressively, knocking books slightly askew, leaving fingerprints. Unclean surfaces, time's up. Librarian, give us what we want, or we start making your life difficult. Eleanor looks past him to where Danny Morrison, youngest of the group, hovers near the children's section, uncomfortable with picture books and bright carpet squares. She sees something. In his eyes, recognition. Maybe shame. Danny. She says his name quietly. You used to come here for summer reading program, 2nd grade through 5th. Tank turns, follows her gaze. Danny's face reddens beneath his forced scowl. That right. Glutch, you know our librarian friend? Danny shifts weight from foot to foot, leather jacket suddenly too big for his frame. Yeah, well, that was a long time ago. I was just a kid. Eleanor nods slowly, voice gentle as storytime whispers. You loved the Hardy Boys' mysteries, Always asked me to order the newest one. Your mother worked double shifts at the diner. You'd stay here until closing Tank's expression hardens. Doesn't like personal connections complicating his narrative. Ancient history. We got business to handle. But Eleanor keeps talking directly to Danny, ignoring Tank completely. You wrote a story once about a boy who could talk to motorcycles. They told him secrets about where they'd been, what they'd seen. Danny's tough guy mask slips completely reveals. The kid who used to curl up in the reading corner escaping into adventures. I remember voice barely audible. Eleanor smiles, genuine warmth cutting through tension. It was a good story. You had imagination. Real talent. Tank steps between them, breaks the connection, voice sharp with authority enough. We didn't come here for a reunion. He signals the others. Jenny starts pulling books from shelves, randomly letting them fall, pages splaying open. Danny hesitates, torn between old loyalties and new allegiances. Through the front windows, Eleanor sees Harold Patterson, the security guard, walking his rounds 40 minutes early. Unusual, Harold peers through glass, makes eye contact with Eleanor, nods almost imperceptibly. She understands someone called him, warned him, asked him to pay attention. Tank notices her glance, follows her sightline, sees Harold approaching. That's your security. Old man with a flashlight. Real intimidating. Harold enters, moves with surprising grace for someone past retirement age. Everything all right. In here, Miss Hartwell. Eleanor meets his eyes, sees steel beneath the grandfather exterior, just some patrons browsing aggressively. Mr. Patterson. Harold nods, walks slowly through the library, taking inventory of faces, positions, potential problems. His radio. Crackles dispatcher asking for status update. Harold keys, the mic voice carrying deliberately, Unit 12. Conducting wellness check at public library situation, under observation. Tank realizes the game has changed. Too many variables, too much attention. Signals his crew time to leave, but first needs to save face. This ain't over. Librarian, we know where you live, where you work, where you shop. Tank leans across her desk, one final intimidation. Tomorrow night library's closed. You'll be walking to that beat-up Honda all alone in the dark. Eleanor doesn't flinch, doesn't look away. Voice steady as Sunday morning prayers. I'll be here, same as always. Tank straightens, confused by her calm. Expected fear got resolved. The steel serpents file out. Danny last pausing at Eleanor's desk. I'm sorry, Miss Hartwell, for the books, for everything. Eleanor reaches beneath her poetry collection, pulls out a library card, worn soft, with age name printed carefully in child's handwriting, Daniel Morrison. Expires, never. She slides it across the desk, your account's still active. Danny stares at the card, remembers. Summer afternoons, safe spaces, stories that transported him to better worlds. He takes the card, tucks it carefully into his wallet behind his driver's license. Then he follows the others outside. But something has shifted in his loyalty. Harold waits until the motorcycles disappear down Main Street before approaching Eleanor. You got friends looking out for you. Miss Hartwell. Eleanor glances toward the poetry section where her journal waits, full of secrets and old connections. I know, Mr. Patterson. Some friends you never really lose. Harold studies her face, sees something new behind her reading glasses, something that wasn't there yesterday. He nods slowly, understanding, without needing explanation. I'll be making extra rounds tonight and tomorrow, Eleanor. Smiles, first genuine happiness. She's felt all week, thank you, but I don't think that'll be necessary. Harold raises an eyebrow, question in his expression. She reaches for her hidden journal fingers, tracing worn leather binding. Let's just say I've got backup coming, the kind Tank. Rodriguez won't expect. Outside storm clouds gather, dark promise of change coming. Eleanor opens her journal, finds the photograph of a young woman who knew how to handle bullies like Tank. Different methods, same result, respect. And tomorrow night in that dark parking lot, Tank Rodriguez is going to learn the difference between fear and respect the hard way. Thursday evening library closes at 6. Eleanor locks the doors, walks to her Honda keys, ready senses. Watching tanks threat. Echoes tomorrow night, dark parking lot all alone. But she won't be alone. Eleanor drives home to her small house on Elm Street. Roses climbing the front porch trellis. Same routine, 23 years. Inside she makes tea. Earl Grey, same as always. But her hands shake slightly as she pours. The phone rings, 7:30, sharp Eleanor. Deep voice gravelly with age and old cigarettes. Hello. Sylvester syllables, careful pronouncing each letter the way she taught herself to say his name, with respect, not familiarity. Got your message. Been thinking about what you told me. Eleanor settles into her reading chair, cordless phone pressed to her ear. It's getting worse. Sly. They're not backing down tomorrow night. I know Sly Stallone's voice carries 40 years of shared history. You still got the jacket? Eleanor looks toward her bedroom closet where something waits, wrapped in tissue paper, hidden behind cardigans. And sensible skirts, yes, but Sly, I'm not that person anymore. Silence on the line, then low chuckalelly. You think I called you Stallone all those years because of some movie star? Eleanor blinks, old nickname she hasn't heard in decades. You're riding. Name Stallone. Because you never backed down from a fight, never let anyone push you around. Memory floods back. Summer of 1985. Riverside Motorcycle Club, only woman member earning respect. Mile by mile, ride by ride. They called you Stallone because you fought like a champion. Stood up for people who couldn't stand up for themselves. Eleanor touches her throat, where a scar hides beneath silk scarves, reminder of the night she earned that name. The Riverside Devils tried to run us off Highway 9. Remember? How could she forget? 5 against 12 impossible odds, until Eleanor Stallone roared past the pack, cut off their leader, forced him into the guardrail. You saved 8 riders that night. Put yourself between them and trouble. Eleanor closes her eyes, remembers the weight of leather jacket, steel and chrome beneath her hands, wind and freedom and absolute certainty. That was different. I was young, fearless, stupid. You were brave. Sly's voice, gentle. Still are just wearing different clothes. Eleanor walks. To her bedroom, opens the closet, pushes aside years of careful respectability. There in the back, tissue paper, crackling with age. She unwraps, carefully reveals black leather, worn soft by thousands of miles, decorated with patches earned through blood. And Loyalty Riverside MC Est, 1983. And on the back, in faded silver letters, Stallone. The jacket still fits. Eleanor slips it on over her cardigan, feels transformation beginning. Still there? Sly asks. Yes. Voice. Different now. Stronger. Good. Because I'm driving. Up tonight, should be there by morning. Eleanor's breath catches. You don't need to. Yeah, I do. These punks think they can intimidate my riding partner? Eleanor smiles. First time all week. Genuine joy. We're not 25 anymore. Sly, speak for yourself. Low laughter. I still got my bike. Still got my colors. Still got your back. Eleanor looks. In her bedroom mirror, sees Librarian wearing outlaw jacket. 2 worlds colliding. What about your granddaughter? Doesn't she need? Marley's in college, spring break. She'll understand when I tell her I'm helping an old friend. Eleanor nods, understanding. Some debts never expire. Some friendships transcend time still. Her voice small. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Wait till you see how these steel serpents react when they realize they picked a fight with the wrong librarian. Eleanor removes the leather jacket, hangs it carefully in her closet, but leaves it unwrapped. Tomorrow. Night she'll need it. I should go, long drive ahead. Drive safe, old friend. Always do, Stallone. The line goes dead. Eleanor holds the silent phone, feels something shifting inside walls she built around her heart. 23 years of quiet dignity, careful. Respectability might end tomorrow, but some things matter more than reputation. Like protecting people who can't protect themselves. Like standing up to bullies who think fear equals respect. Eleanor returns to her reading chair, picks up her library. Journal hidden all these years opens to pages she knows by heart, photographs, newspaper clippings, rally schedules, poker runs, charity rides, evidence of a different life, a different Eleanor one who earned respect through strength and loyalty, not submission tomorrow. Night Tank Rodriguez and his steel serpents will meet both Eleanors, the Librarian and Stallone, and they'll learn the hardest lesson of all. You can take the rider off the road, but you can't take the road out of the rider. Thunder rumbles in the distance. Storm approaching, Eleanor smiles, closes her journal, prepares for tomorrow's reckoning. Friday morning, 5:30 a.m. Eleanor wakes to distant thunder that doesn't fade. She pulls back bedroom curtains, sees him in her driveway, Sylvester Stallone, 78. Years old, still broad-shouldered, still commanding, leaning against a pristine Harley-Davidson chrome. Catching First Light Road, King Classic Midnight Blue. Same model he rode 40 years ago, kept like new, maintained with religious devotion. Eleanor. Dresses quickly, cardigan over sensible blouse, Librarian armor for one more day. She opens her front door steps onto the porch, roses blooming around them both. Sly looks up, weathered face breaking into familiar grin. Morning. Stallone morning, Sly voice, steady but heart racing. He studies her takes in the careful respectability, 23 years of building walls between past and present. You look good, Ellie different. But good, she gestures toward her Honda Civic parked. Beside his Harley contrast, stark as night and day, different life. Different priorities, Sly nods, understanding, walks to her car, runs fingers along the faded bumper where old stickers once lived. Remember your first bike. 1983, Kawasaki, bright red fast. As lightning, Eleanor smiles, despite everything memory flooding back. Ninja 600. You said I was too small for it. You proved me wrong about a lot of things. They stand together in mourning silence, 40 years collapsing into heartbeats. Eleanor breaks first. Reality returning. Sly, the library. I know. He checks his watch. Want me to follow? Keep distance. Eleanor considers weighs options. Pride against practicality. Better if they don't see you coming. Sly reaches into his leather jacket, pulls out. Something wrapped in faded bandana for you. Something I've been saving. Eleanor unwraps, carefully reveals a patch embroidered silver on black leather. Riverside MC Road, Captain. Her breath catches. This was yours. You earned it. Leading the pack through. Devil's Canyon, 85 charity run. Eleanor holds. The patch feels weight of memory and responsibility. I can't, Sly. I'm a librarian now. Respected member of the community, you're also the woman who stood up to crazy Eddie Morrison when he was beating his wife senseless. Eleanor flinches. Old wound, old guilt that ended badly. You saved her life. Sly's voice firm. Eddie went to prison where he belonged. Maria got free. Eleanor touches her throat, where scar tissue reminds her of Eddie's knife and her decision. To fight anyway. I lost everything, club membership, reputation, had to leave town. You chose justice over comfort. That's why they called you Stallone. Eleanor looks at the patch, remembers the weight of leadership responsibility for every rider in her group. I led them safely home, every time, every ride, every mile. Sly steps closer, voice dropping to shared secret. These steel serpents think they're tough guys, intimidating civilians. They are tough, Eleanor. Objects. No, they're bullies. Big difference. Sly walks to his Harley, runs loving hands over polished chrome. Bullies fold when they meet real resistance, real strength. He starts the engine, V-twin rumble that speaks of power and freedom. I'll be watching from Murphy's Diner across the street. When you need me, just step outside. Eleanor clutches the road. Captain Patch feels destiny, pulling her toward choices she thought she'd never make again. Sly, what if I'm not her anymore? What if I can't? You think courage disappears with age? He revs, the engine sound echoing off quiet houses, announcing his presence to anyone listening. Courage is like muscle memory. Dormant, never dead. Eleanor watches him ride away, tail lights disappearing around the corner. She looks down at the patch in her hands, feels something awakening Inside her house, she walks to the bedroom closet, removes the leather jacket from tissue paper, holds the road, Captain Patch against the empty space where it once belonged. Perfect fit. Like it never left, Eleanor sets both aside. Dresses for work, cardigan and reading glasses, one more day of camouflage, but tonight everything changes. She drives to work, Honda, puttering past Murphy's diner, where Sly sits by the window. Coffee cup in weathered hands. He raises it, slight salute. Promise kept. Eleanor parks in her usual spot, walks to library entrance, keys ready. Inside, she goes straight to the poetry section, retrieves her hidden journal, opens to pages that matter. Newspaper clipping yellowed with age, headline reading, "Local. Woman leads motorcycle charity ride. Raises 50 and drew 0 for Children's Hospital." Photograph below shows Eleanor, 25 years old, road Captain Patch prominent on her jacket, surrounded by 37 riders, all looking to her for leadership. She remembers that day, the weight of responsibility, the trust placed in her hands. Children received medical equipment because of her planning, her courage, her refusal to accept impossible. Eleanor closes the journal, slides it back beneath poetry books. Some legacies hide in quiet places, but they never truly disappear. Tonight, Tank Rodriguez will learn the difference between intimidation and inspiration, between fear and respect, between taking what you want and earning what you deserve. Eleanor adjusts her reading glasses, prepares for her last day. As just a librarian, tomorrow the whole town will know exactly who Eleanor Hartwell really is. Road Captain Stallone, defender of those who need defending. Ready or not, Friday evening, 6 o'clock, library closing time. Eleanor turns the sign, closed, locks the front door. From inside, through windows, she sees them gathering, steel serpents, multiplying like storm clouds. Tank Rodriguez, Jenny Walsh, Danny Morrison, plus 4 new faces, leather and chrome, filling the sidewalk. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from. 7 motorcycles, engines rumbling, coordinated intimidation, loud enough to wake the entire block. Eleanor watches from behind, biography shelves, counts, numbers, calculates odds, remembers lessons from 40 years. A go never fight angry, fight smart. She moves to her desk, pulls out cell phone texts, one word to Sly's number, now. Across the street, Murphy's diner windows glow warm yellow, but she can't see if anyone's watching. The steel serpents arrange themselves. Strategic formation, blocking exits, controlling space, textbook intimidation. Tank dismounts, walks to library doors, cups hands against glass piers inside. Eleanor, voice carrying despite barriers. "We know you're in there." She doesn't respond, doesn't move, just waits. "Time to talk," Tank shouts, or we start making noise complaints to the city council about librarians who don't cooperate. Jenny revs her engine, deliberate provocation sound echoing between buildings, announcement of hostile intent. Eleanor looks toward poetry section, where her journal waits patiently, full of memories and evidence. She walks, slowly retrieves it, opens to the newspaper clipping, "Local woman leads motorcycle charity ride," studies the photograph, young Eleanor surrounded by her riding family, 37 people who trusted her judgment, followed her leadership road. Captain Stallone, protector of those who couldn't protect themselves. Outside, Tank tries the door handle, finds it locked, frustration growing. Eleanor last. "A chance! Open up or we make this whole street our business." Danny Morrison hangs back clearly, uncomfortable, remembering summer afternoon story time, Hardy Boys mysteries, kindness from a woman who saw potential in troubled kids. Tank signals the others. Time for escalation. 2 riders walk to Eleanor's Honda, examine tires, antenna, windshield wipers, casual vandalism, waiting to happen. Eleanor's jaw tightens. Some lines can't be crossed. She returns the journal to its hiding place, walks to the back exit, unlocks it, steps into the alley. Cool evening air carries scent of rain approaching and something else. Motorcycle exhaust leather, old memories awakening. Eleanor moves around the building, staying in shadows until she reaches the corner. Tank doesn't. See her too focused on intimidating empty glass doors. Eleanor steps into streetlight voice, carrying across sudden silence. I'm right here. 7 heads turn. Tank's expression shifts from frustration to predatory pleasure. Well, librarian. Finally. Comes out to play. Eleanor stands 20 feet away, cardigan buttoned, reading glasses, reflecting neon from Murphy's diner. What do you want, Tank? Same thing I wanted 3 days ago. Information cooperation. Respect. Eleanor nods slowly. Respect. Interesting. Word from someone who threatens old women in parking lots. Tank's crew spreads out half-circle formation, cutting off retreat routes. Old women. Tank laughs. You ain't that old. Maybe 60. Still got some fight left. Eleanor removes her reading glasses. Cleans them deliberately, hands steady despite everything. 73 actually. Tank blinks, surprised. You don't look. I take care of myself. Eleanor puts glasses back on, studies, each face in turn. Jenny Walsh, 19 years old, trying to prove she belongs with the boys. Danny Morrison, 22, still carrying library card. In his wallet 4 strangers, following Tank, because they don't know any better. And Tank Rodriguez, 35, old enough to know better, too proud to care. You want respect. And Tank? Eleanor's voice carries 40 years of accumulated authority. Respect is earned, not demanded, not taken. Earned. Tank steps closer. Leather, creaking steel-toed boots clicking against asphalt. Lecture time over. Grandma, give us what we want or face. In consequences, Eleanor looks past him to Murphy's diner, where a shadow moves behind bright windows, then back to Tank. What consequences? Tank signals his crew time for action. We trash your car, your house, your precious library. Make your life so miserable. You'll beg to help us. Eleanor nods, understanding finally clear. So you're not looking for respect. Tank frowns, confusion flickering. What? You're looking for submission. Different thing entirely. She reaches into her cardigan. Tank tenses, expecting weapon. Eleanor pulls out cell phone, types quickly. 2 words, I'm ready. Tank relaxes, laughs harshly. Calling for help? Little late for that. Eleanor looks up from her phone, meets his stare directly. Not calling for help. Calling for backup. Murphy's diner door opens. Spills yellow light across dark street footsteps. Measured, deliberate approach from behind Tank's formation. Eleanor smiles, first time all week, genuine joy. Tank, I'd like you to meet an old friend. Tank turns, follows her gaze, sees figure emerging from shadows, tall, broad-shouldered leather jacket, worn with absolute confidence. Sylvester Stallone steps into streetlight road. King, rumbling softly behind him. Evening voice, gravelly with age and absolute authority. Tank stares, recognition dawning slowly. I'm Sly, and you've been bothering my riding partner. Tank looks back at Eleanor, cardigan and reading glasses, trying to reconcile image with reality. You're what? Eleanor reaches beneath her cardigan, removes something hidden all evening. Road, Captain Patch. Silver on black, Riverside, Massey. She holds it up, streetlight catching embroidery. My name isn't just Eleanor. Tank's expression shifts from confusion to something approaching fear. It's Eleanor Stallone, and you boys are about to learn what respect really means. Tank. Rodriguez stares at the patch, silver letters catching streetlight road, Captain Riverside. Massey's crew shifts nervously, recognition dawning. Slowly, Jenny whispers to Danny. Morrison. Riverside? That's the club that ran the Devil's Off-Highway. 9. Danny nods, remembering stories told in hushed voices, legends of the woman rider who stood up to Eddie Morrison, saved his wife, paid the price in blood. Eleanor holds the patch, higher voice carrying across sudden silence. 40 years ago I earned this, leading riders through Devil's Canyon charity run for Children's Hospital. Sly steps closer, positioning himself beside Eleanor, unified front against 7 confused bikers, raised 50,000 that day. Sly adds, every penny went to kids who needed medical equipment. Tank tries to recover, maintain authority, but uncertainty creeps into his voice. So what? Ancient history. You're just an old librarian. Now Eleanor smiles, removes her cardigan beneath it, black t-shirt, surprisingly muscled arms. For 73-old, yes, just a librarian. She reaches behind Sly's motorcycle, retrieves something hidden there. Black leather jacket worn soft by thousands of miles. Eleanor slips it on transformation, immediate complete. The librarian disappears, replaced. By road captain Stallone. Tank takes involuntary step backward. You're her, the one who fought Crazy Eddie. Put him in the hospital. Eleanor attaches the road. Captain Patch to its rightful place movement. Automatic muscle memory 40 years dormant. Never dead. Eddie Morrison was beating. His wife with tire iron, her voice different now, steel beneath silk, gone just steel. I gave him a choice, stop or deal with me. Tank glances at Danny, whose face has gone pale. That's my father. Danny whispers. Eleanor turns, meets Danny's stare directly. Know your mother Maria works at the flower shop now. Danny nods, voice barely audible. She's happy free. Because of you, Eleanor's expression softens slightly. Every child deserves to feel safe at home. She looks back at Tank, hardness returning. Every person deserves to walk their own streets without fear. Tank tries one last intimidation. There's 7 of us, 2 of you. Bad odds is Sly, laughs genuine amusement. 7 kids playing dress-up in Daddy's leather jackets. He signals toward Murphy's diner where shadows move behind bright windows. Eleanor never rode alone. The diner door opens again, spills more light across dark street. Harold Patterson emerges first, no longer elderly security guard, moving with purpose and practiced grace. Behind him 3 more figures. Leather jackets, aged faces, eyes that have seen everything. Maria Morrison, Danny's mother, 55 now. Riverside patch on her jacket, wrench in her hand. Big Mike Kowalski, 68, former mechanic, hands like ham hocks, gentle with engines, brutal with bullies. Sarah Chen misses. Chen from the library cookbook browser, turns out she's also former Riverside treasurer. 7 steel serpents. Face 6 Riverside veterans, plus Eleanor Stallone. Tank's confidence crumbles visibly. You called the whole gang? Eleanor shakes her head. Family. Different thing. She steps forward. Tank automatically steps back. You want to know the difference between respect and fear? Tank doesn't answer. Can't answer, throat dry with sudden understanding. Fear makes people comply temporarily. Respect makes them follow forever. Eleanor gestures toward her Riverside family, assembled in street light. These people followed me through 40 years across thousands of miles because I earned their trust. Tank looks around his own crew, sees doubt creeping in, loyalty. Based on intimidation, cracking under pressure, you got 2 choices. Tank. Eleanor's voice carries absolute authority. Walk away right now. Leave this town, never come back. Tank's jaw clenches. Or what? Eleanor smiles, expression that made Eddie Morrison beg for mercy 40 years ago. Or find out what happens when you mess with people. I protect. Sly revs his Road King sound, echoing off buildings. Big Mike cracks knuckles like gunshots. Maria Morrison steps forward, faces Tank directly. My son is coming with us. Danny looks between his mother and Tank, choice crystallizing. Mom. Maria extends her hand. Time to come home. Daniel. Real home. With real family. Danny removes steel serpent's patch, drops it on asphalt, walks to his mother's side. Tank watches his youngest. Member defect, authority crumbling like sand. Anyone else? Eleanor asks Tank's remaining crew. 2 more bikers step forward, remove patches, drop them beside Danny's. Jenny Walsh looks around, suddenly alone, except for Tank and 2 strangers. She makes her choice, joins the growing pile of abandoned patches. Tank stands, isolated, deflated. Just a man in leather costume. Eleanor approaches, stops arm's length away. "Your patch, Tank." His hands shake slightly as he removes steel serpent's colors, drops them with the others. "Now get on your bike and ride. Don't stop until you're out of my territory." Tank looks at his abandoned crew, his failed intimidation, his shattered reputation. He walks to his motorcycle, starts, engine rides away alone into darkness. Eleanor watches until taillights disappear, then turns to Danny and the others. "Welcome back to Riverside." Sly picks up the discarded patches, drops them in trash can beside library. Some colors don't deserve to exist. Eleanor looks around her family, old friends, new members' hearts full of something stronger than fear, respect earned through 40 years of standing up for what's right. She removes her reading glasses, cleans them one last time as a disguise. Tomorrow the whole town will know Eleanor Hartwell is also Road Captain Stallone, and that's perfectly fine. Saturday morning, Eleanor arrives at Millbrook Library, wearing her leather jacket over blue jeans, reading glasses, perched on Road Captain Stallone. News travels fast in small towns by 10 a.m. half. The city has driven past to see the librarian, who faced down a motorcycle gang. Eleanor unlocks the front doors, brass handle gleaming in morning sunlight. Inside, everything looks the same. Poetry section, biography, shelves her desk with its hidden journal, but everything has changed, Mrs. Patterson, Harold's wife, enters first, clutching romance novel overdue 3 days. "Miss Hartwell, Road Captain, Eleanor smiles, removes her reading glasses, cleans them, familiar gesture. "Eleanor is fine, Mrs. Patterson, same as always, but—" "Is it?" The older woman looks uncertain. "Are you still our librarian?" Eleanor considers the question. 40 years of careful separation between worlds ended last night. "I'm still the same person who helped your grandson Tommy with his book report last month, Mrs. Patterson nods slowly, relief visible. "Good. He needs that science project help you promised." Eleanor settles behind her desk, leather jacket squeaking softly against chair. Some things never change. The morning brings visitors, steady stream of curiosity. And something else. Respect. Danny Morrison arrives at noon, library card in his hand, worn soft with memory. "Miss Stallone." Voice uncertain. Eleanor looks up, sees the boy who loved Hardy Boy's mysteries. Now a young man choosing better paths. Danny is fine. Or Road Captain, if you prefer. He approaches her desk carefully, like approaching a legend. "I wanted to thank you. For my mom, for me, for giving us both a chance." Eleanor reaches beneath her poetry collection, retrieves something special. Library journal. Worn leather, 40 years of hidden history. She opens to a blank page, slides it across the desk. "Want to write another story?" Danny picks up the pen hand, trembling slightly. "About what?" "About a young man who learned the difference between gang and family." His eyes fill with tears as he writes. First words of redemption. Mayor Linda Walsh arrives at 2 City Council, behind her official delegation. Eleanor watches through windows, sees news. Van Channel 8, setting up equipment, press conference, coming, Mayor Walsh. Enters library, expression carefully. "Neutral, Miss Hartwell, we need to discuss last night's events." Eleanor stands, leather jacket, creaking softly. Road. Captain Patch visible to entire delegation. What about them? There were complaints about vigilante. Justice citizens taking law into own hands. Eleanor nods, understanding political pressure. From whom? Tank Rodriguez filed charges this morning. Assault, harassment, threatening behavior. Eleanor reaches for her phone, speed dials number she memorized decades ago. Sheriff Martinez? Eleanor Hartwell. Yes, still Road. Captain Stallone pause, listening. She looks up at Mayor Walsh, slight smile. Sheriff says Tank Rodriguez left town this morning. No forwarding address, no charges filed. Mayor Walsh shifts uncomfortably. But the City Council needs assurance that library operations will remain professional. Eleanor walks to poetry section. retrieves her hidden journal, brings it back to her desk, opens to newspaper clipping, local woman leads, motorcycle charity ride raises. $50,000 for children's hospital. She slides it across desk toward mayor. This professional enough. Council members lean forward, studying photo young Eleanor, surrounded by 37 riders, all focused on helping sick children. Mayor Walsh reads headline, twice expression shifting. You organize this? Eleanor nods quietly. Proud every year for 8 years. Until I had to leave town. Why did you leave? Eleanor touches scar beneath her throat, hidden by jacket collar, because sometimes doing right costs everything. You have. She looks around her library, 23 years of rebuilding reputation and purpose, but some things are worth the price. Mayor Walsh studies Eleanor's face, sees steel beneath silk strength that protected town from real danger. The city council wants to recognize your service. Eleanor raises eyebrows, surprised. My service. Standing up to bullies, protecting citizens from intimidation. Eleanor looks at her journal, 40 years of hidden heroism. I was just doing my job as librarian, as human being. Eleanor corrects, some responsibilities come with being alive. Mayor Walsh nods slowly, understanding dawning. We'd like to install a display case here in the library. Eleanor frowns, suspicious. What kind of display? Your motorcycle memorabilia charity. Work community service both as Road Captain Stallone and Eleanor Hartwell. Eleanor considers 40 years of separation between worlds ending officially. Both sides of me, all of you, Mayor Walsh confirms. The complete story. Eleanor looks around her sanctuary, imagines visitors seeing both librarian and road captain, students learning. You can be anything, multiple things, complex, person with hidden depths. She nods slowly. Agreement reached. One condition. Anything. Danny Morrison gets to help design it. His story matters too. Mayor Walsh smiles genuinely. First time all afternoon done. They shake hands, librarian and politician, mutual respect earned through understanding. Outside Channel 8. Reporter adjusts microphone, prepares for broadcast. Eleanor removes her reading glasses, cleans them carefully, puts them back on time to face the cameras as herself. Complete self for first time in 40 years. Road Captain Eleanor Stallone, librarian protector, legend, all of it true. What would you do if your safe haven became a battlefield? 6 months later, Eleanor Hartwell adjusts her reading glasses, slides another return book across the scanner, hears the familiar beep echo through Millbrook Public Library. Some things never change. The afternoon sun streams through. Tall windows catches dust motes dancing above biography, shelves illuminates her world of order, whispered conversations, rustling pages, but everything has changed. The display case stands near the front entrance glass, gleaming contents arranged with Museum Precision Road, Captain Patch Silver on Black Riverside, MC Est. 1983 newspaper clipping, local woman leads motorcycle charity ride, 40 years old, still crisp, still true. Photograph of young Eleanor surrounded by 37 riders, all looking to her for leadership, for direction, for hope. Danny Morrison's handwritten story titled Finding Family, 3 pages of honest words about choices and second chances. At the bottom, brass nameplate reads simply, Eleanor Stallone Hartwell, Road Captain, Librarian Protector, 1951. Eleanor wears her leather jacket open over blue cardigan, reading glasses perched on nose. Comfortable fusion of both worlds. Mrs. Chen approaches her desk, cookbook in hand. Overdue 2 days, good afternoon, Road Captain Eleanor. Smiles, removes her glasses, cleans them, returns them. Good afternoon, Sarah. Find that dumpling recipe? Mrs. Chen nods enthusiastically, then lowers her voice conspiratorially. My grandson wants to know if you'll teach him to ride when he's older, Eleanor. considers responsibility that comes with sharing knowledge. Tell him to ask again when he's 16, old enough to understand what respect really means. Danny Morrison enters library work, clothes dusty from construction, job steady employment, steady. Life evening. Miss Stallone evening Danny. How's the writing coming? He grins, pulls notebook from back pocket pages filled with careful handwriting. Finished chapter 3. About the night everything changed. Eleanor nods, approving. Keep writing your story, matters Danny. Approaches display case studies, his own words preserved behind glass, permanent record of transformation. Hard to believe that was me. 6 months ago. Eleanor joins him side by side before the case people change when they choose better paths. Danny points to the photograph, young Eleanor, fearless and confident. Were you scared? Back then? Eleanor studies her younger self, remembers weight of responsibility, 37 lives depending on her decisions, terrified, every ride, every mile, every choice. Then, why did you keep going? Eleanor touches brass nameplate, feels engraved letters under her fingertips. Because fear doesn't make decisions, people do. Harold Patterson emerges from staffroom security uniform, pressed neat radio crackling softly, all quiet. Tonight road, Captain. Eleanor checks wall clock, 8 p.m. closing time, all quiet Harold. Same as always, but not really the same. Now when trouble comes town knows Librarian. Eleanor Hartwell is also road captain Stallone, protector of those who need protection. Danny helps turn off lights, lock doors. Evening routine shared between mentor and student. Outside Eleanor's Honda, sits beside Danny's pickup truck. His motorcycle permit arrived yesterday. Lessons start next week. Eleanor removes her reading glasses. One final. And time today, some battles you fight with books and kindness. Others require leather jacket and absolute refusal to back down. The secret is knowing which battle needs which approach. Eleanor drives home slowly through quiet streets past Murphy's Diner, where Sly still stops every Friday for coffee and stories, past the flower shop, where Maria Morrison arranges bouquets with steady hands, unafraid, past houses where children sleep safely in beds protected by ordinary people doing extraordinary things. At and home, Eleanor hangs leather jacket beside cardigans in bedroom closet, no longer hidden, no longer separate, integration complete. She sits in reading chair, opens book of poetry, words that soothe soul after long day. But first she looks toward closet, where jacket waits patiently for next time trouble comes, because it will come. Bullies exist in every generation, seeking weak targets, easy victims, but they never expect librarians who earned road names through courage. They never expect quiet people with hidden strength. They never expect road Captain Stallone. Eleanor removes reading glasses, sets them on table beside poetry book. Tomorrow she'll return to library, help students with research, organize book displays, lead story time for preschoolers. Same. Routine 23 years in making, but wearing leather jacket over whatever she chooses. Eleanor Hartwell, Stallone, Librarian Road, Captain Legend, complete at last. What would you do if your safe haven became a battlefield? Now you know the answer. You stand your ground, call your family, wear your colors, and remind the world that respect is earned, never taken. Some stories end with loud applause. This one ends with quiet dignity and absolute certainty. Tomorrow brings new challenges. Eleanor Stallone will be ready if this story moved you. Like, share, and subscribe.